All right, so today we're going to continue our work with piecewise functions. Um, so yesterday you started graphing pieces of functions. So a piece of a line or a piece of an absolute value. Um, and that's what piecewise functions are all about, pieces of different functions all on one graph. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add on to that, and now we're going to be graphing more than one function at a time, more than one piece of a function at a time. So you're going to see this notation, which is a little bit different looking. You still have your f of x equals, but now you've got this bracket, and we've got a top line and a bottom line. So what that indicates is we have two different functions, and then these are their restrictions. Remember the stuff that comes after the comma? This is the restriction. This is like the invisible line that we have to stay either to the right or to the left of. And we also have to pay attention to whether we can touch the line or not, whether we would have a closed circle or an open circle. So here's what I recommend doing. I would maybe consider using two different colors, and I would consider using pencils. So like if you have colored pencils that you can erase, that would be really helpful, I think. So I'm going to color code it. This is going to be my first function right here in pink. So that is an equation of a line. I'm just going to rewrite it down here. Oops, I meant to plus. Okay, and so the y-intercept is 5, so that's where I would start on my y-axis. Put a dot at 5 on the y-axis. And then -2 is the slope. So that is going to tell me how to move to get the rest of my line. And I can put that -2 over 1. The top number is my up or down. Since it's a negative, that means I'm going to go down 2. 1 is positive, which means I'm going to be going to the right one. So from 5 on the y-axis, I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, and just keep going until you fill the line on the graph, because we never know where our restriction is going to be placed. So you need to complete the entire line. And I would go up this way as well. So that would mean I would have to go the opposite direction, up 2 and to the left one. Okay, and I'm going to draw my line in. Not perfect because drawing on this pad is tricky. And now I'm going to put in that restriction. So here is the restriction. Remember, it's a vertical line. So the vertical line is going to happen at 1 on the x-axis. And I'm going to make it dashed. So a dashed vertical line at 1. Okay, now my pink line has to stay on either side of that blue dashed line. So we have to decide, do we want the stuff to the left of the blue line or do we want the stuff to the right of the blue line? Well, that boils down to this inequality symbol here. Since it's a less than or equal to, that means we need to stay to the left of the blue line. And because it has an or equal to symbol, that means that wherever it hits the line, we're going to have a closed dot. So I need to stay to the left. So that means I'm going to erase all the stuff that's to the right of the blue line. Okay, and now pay attention to where it would hit the blue line. So the pink would hit the blue line right here, and I'm going to make that like extra emphasized closed dot. Okay, so that's one piece of one function. Now we're going to graph another function. I'll make it purple. Okay, so this function right here will be purple. Now that is an absolute value function. So it's going to be a V shape. Remember, we start by the vertex and we take the opposite of the number inside, so +4. We keep this number on the outside the same, so 3. So put your vertex at 4, 3, put a dot there. And then the slope is the number out in front, which is a negative sign, so that would be a -1. And I can put that over 1. The top number tells me up or down, since it's negative, we're going to be going down. And then the bottom number is how far I'm going over. Now remember, with a V shape, I have to go over to the right and over to the left. So like from my vertex, if I go down 1, over 1, or if I go down 1, over this other way 1, then I'm going to get my V shape. And I keep going down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And then I would go down 1 over 1 this way. Okay, so we got the general idea of this V shape, right? Connect the dots. And now I have to figure out what piece of it I want. So I look up at my restriction here, and I have to stay greater than 1. Greater than this restriction dashed line. Greater than means I need to stay to the right. And because it's just a greater than symbol, I need to have an open circle wherever it would hit that blue dashed line. So I want the purple graph to the right of my blue dashed line. That means I'm going to erase anything over here to the left of that blue line. Now, do you see where it would hit the blue line right here? I need to have an open circle. So this needs to be an open circle right there at 1. Okay, because that's where it would have hit the blue line. So make your open circle and your closed circles really defined so that I know that you're doing it on purpose. So we have a piece of a line and we have a piece of a V shape. And the pink line can touch the fence, but the purple V shape cannot. So if you want to think of it as like an invisible fence or electric fence, or I don't know, however you want to think about it, whether or not something can touch it or not might be helpful. And one of the functions will have to be to the left and one of the functions will be to the right. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so the first function is this right here. Now that looks weird. If I was to rewrite it, it would be f of x equals 3. Or sometimes people like writing a y instead of an f of x, y equals 3. And what you need to remember is that is the equation of a horizontal line. So if I graph that, it will just be a horizontal line at 3 on the y-axis. But I don't want the whole line. I have a restriction. Here's my restriction. So I'm going to set up my fence, my invisible fence, at -2. The restriction is always going to be a vertical line that we have to stay to the right or to the left of. Since it's a less than, that means I have to stay to the left of the blue line. And because there's no or equal to symbol, I'm going to have an open circle wherever it would hit the blue line. So my pink function needs to stay to the left. So I'm going to erase all the stuff to the right. All right, and now where it would hit the blue line, so this would continue, and then where it would hit the blue line is right here, but I need to have an open circle there. Okay, so that's the first function. The second function is right here. So we have an absolute value function. Start with the vertex. So we do the opposite of what we see inside, and we keep the number on the outside the same. So our vertex is at 4, -2. Put a dot there. And then the slope is 2/3. So the top number tells me I'm going to go up 2. The bottom number tells me I'm going over 3. To make my V shape, I have to go up 2, over to the right 3, and up 2, over to the left 3 to make my V shape. And just continue that pattern. Up 2, over 1, 2, 3. Up 2, over 1, 2, 3. Okay, we get the general look of our V. Okay, now this would continue on, but because of my restriction is right here, I have a greater than or equal to, which means I need to stay to the right of that blue line. at -2. And since it has an or equal to part down there, that means I'm going to have a solid dot. So where the purple V hits that like fence, that needs to have a solid dot. So remember, like from this point, I had to go up to over 3. That would put me right here. That's where it would hit the fence. So that needs to be a solid dot. So I have a piece of a line and I have a piece of a V. One needs to stay to the left, the other stays to the right. All right, let's try another. Okay, here's my first function. So it's an absolute value function. Start with your vertex. Do the opposite of what you see inside and keep the outside the same. So our vertex is at -1, 1. My slope is 1/2. So that means I'm going to go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And then I go back to my vertex and go up 1 the other direction too, so that I make my V shape. All right, now let's take a look at where the restriction is going to be placed. So the restriction is the stuff that comes after the comma. So I'm going to have a vertical line at 3 on the x-axis, dashed vertical line. That's my barrier. Whoa, whoa. The pen, I don't know what it was just doing. Okay, now do we want our pink V to be to the right of that line or to the left of that line? My inequality symbol is a less than or equal to, which means I need to stay to the left. And because it has the or equal to part to it, I'm going to have a filled in circle where my pink V would hit that blue line. So I need to stay to the left. So I'm going to erase the stuff to the right. And then do you see here, this is where the pink would hit the fence. So that needs to be a nice filled in circle. All right, so that's one piece of one function. Now we're going to do our other function right here, which is -3x plus 10. That's an equation of a line. So my y-intercept is 10, and my slope is -3. And I can put that over 1, and then remember the top number is telling me I'm going down 3. The bottom number, since it's positive, means I'm going to the right 1. So start at my y-intercept of 10 on the y-axis, and then we're going to go down 1, 2, 3 over 1, down 1, 2, 3 over 1, down 1, 2, 3 over, wait, did I do that right? 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. Here's where having nice graph paper is really important, because if you try to do this like trying to draw that on your own, it's going to get a little tricky. So I would use the graph paper. Okay, now where do we want that purple line? Well, here's the restriction. It's got a greater than 3, so that means we want to stay to the right of our fence. And since it's just a greater than, I should have an open circle. So this purple line needs to stay to the right of the blue fence. So I'm going to erase anything to the left. Okay, and then do you see where it would hit? It would hit that fence right here at this point, 3, 1. I'm gonna make that a nice open circle. Okay, so sometimes you have to do a little bit of erasing and filling back in. And if you erase and then you're like, oh crap, where was the point supposed to be? Remember the slope of -3 over 1. Remember like this point right here, if you go down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, well remember you can go the other direction, up 3 this way 1, and then you'll see, oh yeah, that's where it hit the fence. So that's where there needs to be an open circle. Okay, we got one left. So again, I'm going to graph my first function. It's just a -3. So remember, that would be a horizontal line at -3. Okay, and then we have to pay attention to that restriction. So the restriction is that we have to stay less than -4. So my vertical line is going to be at -4 on the x-axis. And since it's a less than, I need to stay to the left. And I need to have an open circle wherever it would hit that fence. So I need to stay to the left, which means I'm going to erase all the stuff to the right. And then where my pink line would hit the fence is right here, and I need to have an open circle there. Okay, and then the other function is right here, and that is the equation of a line. So my y-intercept is -1, so put your dot at -1 on the y-axis, and then your slope is 3/4. So that means I'm going to go up 3 and to the right 4 from this y-intercept. Up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 3 to the right 4. If I go up 3 to the right 4, I'll go off the graph. But I could come back and go the other direction, which would be down 3 and then to the left 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, do you see that's where it hits the fence? Down 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you can imagine your line here. You could even draw it in. And now look at the restriction. So the restriction is greater than or equal to this blue line at -4. Greater than means we need to stay to the right. And then since it has the or equal to, that means we need a filled in circle where it hits the blue line. So I need my purple line to stay to the right, which means I'm going to erase the stuff to the left. Okay, and then where the purple line hits the blue, it needs to be a filled in circle. So this dot right here, just make it like an even bigger filled in circle. Okay, so we're graphing pieces of functions. We're paying attention to the barrier. We're paying attention to whether we have an open circle or closed circle wherever it hits the barrier. Yeah, that's it. So there's only going to be 2 functions. One will be to the left, one will be to the right for all of these, just as starting off point. So your homework, again, is a worksheet. If you can print it out, great, because then you'll have nicer graphs to go off of. But if you do it in notebook paper, that's totally fine too. Just make your graphs really nice. Evenly space out your tick marks, and label. And then take a picture of it and email it to me. Okay, have a good day.